I recorded two other videos, one on Friday and one on Saturday, and for some reason I just didn't post them. I found that I don't know, maybe the quality or like what I had to say in them wasn't up to like the standard of the videos that I released. Not that I have any standards, because I just do this for fun, but it's just it came off as too pretentious or too spiteful, especially considering like the whole market behind video games and stuff. And now with all these violent attacks, it's almost as if I can't keep like talking about one topic. It's just going to be contradictory. I have to encompass everything. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I have like been burning like a ton of calories this week. I have like another 300 left, and then I'm done. Hopefully, I'll probably do some like other workouts to like tone and shit. But it's been my hobby lately because in response to everything, like these are really violent attacks. I spoke about it in two of these videos, one on Friday and one on Saturday. So maybe some of you have heard about a machete attack that happened in Vancouver, BC. The details of it where this young man from Turkey, was following around these girls with a machete. And this is like an entire country that's full of incels and shit that are like dealing with this idea that because of the over reproduction of men in their country and plus femicide, plus brain drain, right? So you'll have like a Turkish family and they'll say, fuck it, I'll go live in America or I'll go live stateside. I mean, sorry, America is stateside. I'll go live in Europe. I'll go live in, Singapore, wherever, right? Most of the Turkish guys, they're like dealing with like the onslaught of like, these illegal immigrants. Everybody's dealing with it. Just guys everywhere, men everywhere. And what can you do in light of all of this is to be reckless and throw it all away, like your own personal safety, your own inhibitions, your own like apprehensions against the discomfort. You have to embrace the pain, like all the way, all the way. These people are kind of what you would expect from someone who doesn't have to like face the reflection in the mirror because they can always point the finger and lay blame on someone else. And like there were phases in my life where I was like that too, like I just couldn't handle being wrong about things, being on the wrong side of history as they say, or the wrong side just in general. But then I grew out of it and I realized that this cheerleading, this, taking a side is futile. It's pointless. In the grand scheme of things, you have to look out for yourself. You have to take care of your own kids. You have to tend to them in specificity. And the rest of the world is just dealing with the whole chaotic idea that maybe they're going to live their lives, right? And again, like I've experienced this a lot. Like I'll give you an example. Like especially in my early 20s, I thought that I was going to be super attractive at this age, but I'm never going to be as attractive as I am in my early 20s. So I was like desperate. I had to go out every weekend. I would like, it was weird. I had so much hair gel in my hair sometimes. It was just like I come home, I wash it off, like, comb it out, and like, how the hair gel is. If you don't wash it out like fully, it has like stickiness in your hair, and then like the hair starts coming out. It's just those memories of just trying way, way, way too hard to impress. the opposite gender to like, fit in. I think like my biggest issue, this is gonna sound stupid, but my biggest issue had to be the fact that my hair, specifically at the ends, would always curl up and it would just look like stupid. So regardless of whether I had short or long hair, unless it was like really, really short, like I'd always do that. So I would like gel it to an unhealthy degree. And yeah, and then years after the fact, I started trying other alternatives, hairspray, hair wax, uh, what is that one, Suave? Yeah, all these different types of products to put in my hair. And then I immediately settled for just like flat ironing my hair. I might actually go back to Suave or hair wax. Well, maybe not wax, but like not gel. Gel's just to like, it clogs my pores. It pulls out my hair if I like, pull it too hard. It dries out. It looks amazing though. Like when you put it in and you're like, it's fresh and stuff. But like again, my hair, the tips of my hair, aforementioned, they curl up and like, so I bring this up because this is what I was dealing with. Like my level of insecurity, I was way more physically active back then, like actually to a detriment. Because I thought to myself, if I don't keep up with my physical, routines or whatever, these arbitrary goals that I set for myself, like I'm just gonna fall behind that. I'm gonna be less attractive. I'm not gonna have like, whatever, right? And then years after that, like I realized that not only am I pretty much looking the exact same as I did in my early 20s, minus like, I was getting like rashes. I tried to get this like pimple off my face. I used like baking soda and lemon juice and gave myself a huge scar. And like, whatever. Outside of that, I was pretty much like looking the same, feeling the same and stuff. And it's a luxury that I unfortunately do not share with the vast majority of the human race. Like there's a lot of people, like my mom will point out, like East Asians and stuff, we have like, family and stuff, like they just don't age, right? It's the quality of their skin, their like, their endless youth. Obviously it's not, doesn't apply to every single one, but like, you know what I mean, right? Like generally speaking. And then I thought about it, like I saw this video from Asmongold. Yeah, I bring him up a lot, whatever. This guy, over some petty ass shit, it was basically something like 40 bucks American for weed. So like I gotta say 40 bucks American because it's like, context. Because if I said it, right, and I'm Canadian and it's like, what the fuck? We're like, no, this guy went on a fucking GTA rampage. And when I say Grand Theft Auto rampage, I mean Grand Theft Auto rampage. This guy was hitting cars, trying to rob people. He actually robbed the car that he hit. Like I kid you not. It was a convertible, dude. It was hard to watch because you can see the moment where he's basically boxed in between a Mustang, convertible Mustang, and like maybe some SUV or something. And then he just like smashes between the two of them and he sends the Mustang into the wall. And you could see like the driver and the passengers just like buckle as the car hits them. That's how fast he was going. And then he gets out and he steals the Mustang, the convertible Mustang. Fucking unbelievable. Now, I bring that up because, like, afterwards, when you see his picture and shit, and I think he's like, if I'm not mistaken, in his 20s or 30s. Like, he's just like, I just remember he was like significantly younger than me. And I look at his face and like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's not just the injury. It's like the face. It's like these guys are living on expired time. Like something happened to some of these younger generations. I don't know if it's the juice or if it's like the products in their like whatever. Like they took like some sort of like TikTok challenge, something back in the day, and like they all got fucked over from it, and then the ramifications is just we're not gonna find out about it until like they're on death's door. So chances are we'll never find out about it because it's like I'll be gone before that happens. And I think it applies to like a lot of people around the world, like people in the Middle East, people in Pakistan, Punjab, Bangladesh, India, Russia, the list goes on. It's like this thing where, and you see this a lot, like when you were growing up, you were like, oh fuck, I want a mustache, I want a full, like facial beard, whatever, to like complement my masculine looks. I'm going through puberty and shit. I just want the full package. And then for me, it was just like the patches of like skin that wouldn't fill out for my full beard, and like underneath my lip, I don't have that thing. I have the soul patch. I don't have the full, whatever beard. And like some of the guys would have it, just high school, 18, 19 years old, full on beard. At that time, I was envious of them. I was just like, oh my god, I want that. One day I'm gonna get that. I never did. I'm 40 now, 41 now. It's like didn't get it. Um, but those guys, they didn't just get that. They got everything else that comes with it. All the ups and downs, the many, many downs of being an adult. And I think I know why people are so desperate nowadays. It's this kind of realization that you got robbed, in the sense that your parents aren't the same as other people's parents. It's like kind of how I feel around like single parent, like kids who grew up around single parents and shit. Like they kind of have like this resentment of you. Not all of them are like that, but like a lot of them do fill that criteria. But it's also like you feel as if you're getting that resentment because of how you look, because of you have your hair, because of where you're born, what your passport and your citizenship says, the education that you have, your ability to speak English and like read. That's a big one now. Like a lot of people can't read. Like I think I'm not exaggerating. I'm thinking like something like 30 to 40% of the population locally can't read, and it's gonna only get worse as like time goes on and shit. I don't even know why it's this bad. Well, the parents, right? But also like the iPad generation. They literally came out with a movie, Toy Story 5, addressing the whole topic of like raising kids with iPads, right? The whole how they hypnotize the kids, get a hold of them, make them depressed. And here's the problem with that though. Number one, right? Like there are people who don't give a shit because it's like they don't have the time to engage with their kids, and like the best thing that they can do is give that iPad or whatever to their kid's cell phone, right? And then there's also the types of people who have conceit towards their own children, and they just want to abuse them and doing it right in front of your face, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's not technically abuse. Everybody's doing it. Why didn't you point them out? Why are you concerned about this individual with their child and shit? And they just smirk at you, that evil ass smirk. The same way the terrorists smirk at you for like, raping up girls and like trying to explain away their fucking logic. Or people trying to like jump in the country and like, do shit to you. Just stalk you out, smuggle shit in, like smuggle people in. It's all the same level of like conceit that they have towards you because of the jealousy that they have towards you, something that they've been lacking their whole life. And I never really thought about how powerful jealousy is until I looked at it in hindsight and I realized, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's an ego thing, and I could be very wrong about it. But it does check out. And it's like when you're comparing yourself to like complete strangers, right? Which is the usual thing that people do to get like, I guess, an unbiased opinion or like, better collective information to like, form a better conclusion, right? Something along those lines. You find that like people encounter the same things. Like people are jealous of them. They get rejected. I mean, they reject these people, sorry. And then those very people turn around and become really, really violent, like really, really aggressive. And we're living in the shadow of that, the shadow of jealousy, the shadow of like weak men, women who are abused by said weak men. Um, it's funny how, and I spoke about this in my other two videos, even though I'm not going to post them. Emiru is getting called out by Miskiff. And like, I think I had to stop at like 20, 30 minutes into his fucking response video because the way he's trying to like emotionally manipulate you by like staring into the camera, looking at you all deadpan and shit, and presenting his story with like a lot of inconsistencies and holes in his logic. Like one is like he's trying to frame, Asmongold for saying the N word, and like it's not just that he's doing it; it's also that he's doing it, and there's so many people jumping in to like say, yeah, Asmon, he's all about that. He's a big racist. He's a big bad person, right? He's the biggest person on Twitch. He's the most popular guy online right now, Asmongold. If not the most popular guy online, he's one of the most popular guys online. All right, without a question of the doubt. And to see the dynamic between him and Hassan, or him and Noah Samson, or him and Miskiff, it's just fucking hilarious because the reason why I turned the video off on Miskiff when he was making that fucking response video, outside of like the emotional blackmailing that he was trying to do and the inconsistencies, is the whole idea that I learned this a long time ago. Beautiful women are a very different walk of life than most people are. And let me explain by that. Like, if they wanted to, they can create destiny. They can create, like, paradise, endless fate, and beauty, and all these things that weren't there before, if you know what I mean. And the unfortunate reality of it is, we'll never know if we're good enough until we try. And it's kind of funny how I'll bring up like three examples. Well, two examples, and I'll get back to Miskiff, right? One lately has been Connor Murphy, and he's like most people remember him as the guy who would just go up to girls and he was like shredded and just like take his shirt off, and the girls like, oh yeah, and there'll be like a viral video. It was just like, oh yeah, it was fun for like a while, but then like that was all that he did, and it's like kind of sad. Why don't you just settle down or find a girl that like I don't know, can motivate you in the gym or like can hold the camera for you at least or some shit like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? And like he just let the fame get to him and like constantly had to like outdo himself and get more attention, get more attention, get more attention until finally, like it was just up to using drugs, tons of steroids, doing some other like fruity ass shit. It was in Thailand, and the man's got chased into water, very deep water. It's weird, like you say to yourself that like I can always swim under every circumstance or whatever. I'm drunk or this or that, but like, you're in some like tropical ass place in Thailand. You don't know what the fuck's in that water and just like grabs you or whatever. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Just died. Right, and that's one example, right? Like a guy who's just like jumps on them roids and shit and just like, just it's fucked, right? And then the next one is clavicular. Man's had everything in his like life just lined up for him. Everybody just likes him, right? Had likable face, he was just going hardcore with it. And then out of nowhere, he decides to get this nose surgery, and it's just like, whoa, dude, why? Like it's something that like somebody who would look in the mirror and feel like insecure, like ugly about themselves would do, and a guy who looks like you would do it, and it's just like everyone's like scratching their head, but like, then what is beautiful? And then like you see the way people treat him, and it's almost like a reverse of how he was treated before when he got like all of it, like he did all the bone smashing, he injected all his like peptides or whatever and shit. He was doing like his entire routine, the whole shtick with like the meth and everything. Oh my god! And he did like, I don't know, some other shit. Anyways, like, Ronnie ran over to some guy else, Ronnie. Um, the roids fucked with him, man. Like, it did. Like you had everything you wanted, and then like you got a nose surgery for whatever reason. Like, okay, whatever. And then back to Miskiff, like fuck, right? Even he admitted that he used to use those things, and you get like really, really fucking regressive, really, really fucking agitated or whatever, right? Like, and I have to point out these other two cases because it's like this is actually very, very common with this substance. Right? Like people take it, they're okay for I don't know a little while. They look in the mirror. It's kind of like how you have all these like alpha male guys who they're you obviously know that they're juicing, and then they just get off to themselves looking in the mirror and they're like, oh yeah, progress, progress, or whatever, right? Buy my plan or some shit like that. Then inevitably backfires on them. They can't keep form and shape. And you've been seeing it in like Hollywood too, like The Rock and like all these like, whatever, A-listers and shit. It's a messy type of thing where the more man you try to become, the more woman you become. And even though that doesn't make any sense, like it is because the man you are is an XY chromosome, so it's attached to the X chromosome, the female chromosome. And then like this blasting test. These guys are blasting tests. These guys, from other places in the world are just born genetically to be, aging fast and unattractive and ugly and become desperate. It's the world we're living in. I guess I gotta be grateful for what I have. Hopefully everybody else has it. If you're watching.